Hello and welcome to my channel if you're new, and welcome back if you're not. I hope everyone's doing really well and staying safe in these crazy times that we now live in. Now, as a lot of us are working from home more and businesses have quickly become accustomed to doing so, I thought I'd do a short series of videos looking at how we can integrate with some of these collaboration tools that we're now perhaps using a little bit more of in a way to make working away from the office that little bit easier. So in the series, we're going to look at 3 Microsoft Teams integrations. The first of which is obviously this one. So in this video, we're going to configure ServiceNow so that when we click on an image of Microsoft Teams, like a little icon, a MS Teams chat window is going to launch with perhaps some predefined information. Now, in reality, I don't think we can actually call that an integration. I don't think it's fair to do that. But it kind of joins up two systems and it's a cool feature, so I thought I'd share it. So to do this, there's 3 components really that we need to play with. One is we need to find a Microsoft Teams image logo, and we're going to upload that. Number 2 is a UI macro. So we need to say, well, when we click on this logo, what's going to happen? And then we need to make sure that logo appears, in which case we're going to need to add to a dictionary attribute. Now, we're going to add to the dictionary attribute on the caller field in an incident, because that's a user field. In reality, you probably could do this anywhere actually, so you could do it on a project under a user field, you could do it on a change if you wanted to. I'm doing it on incident because it's easy to show, okay, but it doesn't stop you there. And of course, the last few things that we need ServiceNow and we need Microsoft Teams also. But before we get started, if you are new around here and you're yet to subscribe, please go ahead, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video, just like this one. Okay, so let's do this. So, as I've already mentioned, there are 3 main components that we need to set up and configure to make this feature work. The first thing we're going to do, relatively simple, is we're going to go to images and we're going to upload our image. Now this is the image we want to see next to the caller, and it's the image that we're going to click on. Okay. Here you can see, yeah, I've already added one. I've messed around with it before, but let's add a new one. Let's just show you how that works. So we click on new. It's very simple. We give it a name. I'm going to call it MS Teams 2. We put in the file extension. Now that bit's important because it will moan at you if you get the file extension wrong or don't put one in. So we're going to give it a category of general. Why not? And we're going to find that image and we're going to upload it. Okay, and give it a save. And there we are. That's it. Where did I get the image from? Honestly, I just Googled it. I found something that was relatively small. I adjusted it to make it a bit smaller. And there we go. Okay. So we call it MS Teams 2. Now let's remember that name. The next thing we need to do is create a UI macro. So we've uploaded the image, which is what you click on, but what happens when you click? How does ServiceNow know what to do when you click? Well, that's the UI macro piece. So let's go ahead and create that. I'm going to give that Teams chat. You can call this whatever you like as long as you remember it, by the way. On click, load chat window. That'll do. As you can see, it's quite handy. When we create a UI macro, it automatically gives us a bit of a template to work with. So we don't need to change any of that. But we do need to add some more pieces into it. And rather than you watching me type and get the inevitable mistakes that I will do, I'm going to copy and paste and we'll step through it. Okay. So the first thing we're going to grab is this. Now what is this? This is telling us that we're going to use the image that we've just uploaded. We call it 2 because that's the name we gave it. And when we click that, on click, it's going to invoke a function called invoke chat. So it's going to be a button, we click it, and the button is going to look like the image we just uploaded. Okay? These things like title and click to open Teams chat, you can change any of this. These are just things that are going to show when you hover over it or when you click it. So that's our first piece. So when we click it, it's going to invoke this chat. Now in order to do that, we need to put in some script. I said I wasn't going to type. Let's see how well this goes. Excellent. So we put in our script tags, and then we need to put our function in. So it needs to know what to do when you click. Okay. There are some fields in here which I want to show you later, but I'm going to remove them for now. We'll add them back in. And let's just look at that. Let's get rid of some of that space. Oh, too much. Let's just make it look a bit prettier. Okay, like that. So let's have a look at our function that we've created. So we've got prefix. Again, you can call that whatever you like as long as you call it by that the changed name down here on line 21. But this is the location. This is what we're going to load. You got the first name, which is the first name of the caller. You got the email, which is the email of the caller. Subject. So this here, okay, this you don't have to add this in at all, but I think it's quite nice. Now I'm going to try and show you this. We'll see how that works. But essentially it says, hi, first name of person, this is regarding your incident, number, short description. Now what this will do, this will pre-fill the chat window with that first text. So when you click the button, it'll load a chat window and it'll put this information inside the chat, so you can just hit enter. It's just a nice little feature so you don't have to type hi, how are you doing, and kind of start the conversation that way. Again, you don't need to use that, but I'll put that in. We'll see how it works, if it works. And then this piece at the bottom, or line 20 and line 22, is essentially telling us, telling ServiceNow what to do. So it's saying, get a top window, and I want you to open the application. Now, when those people that have used MS Teams before, you know you can either have a web application or a desktop application. When you click on the icon, it's going to bring a pop-up. You've probably seen it before, that says, do you want to use web apps or the desktop? And there's a little tick box that says save these settings, essentially. Now I've already done that because I use the desktop app, so you're probably not going to see that pop up. However, this will work with both the web and the desktop app. Okay, so essentially we are done with that. So let's save that. Okay, then we're going to copy this, the name of our UI macro. We're now going to head over to incidents. You just can pick any incident. We're going to pick this one. Doesn't really matter which one. We're going to go into, I went a bit quick then, so let's just step back. So I'm on autopilot. So we're just picking an incident. We're going to go to the dictionary of the caller. So we right click and we go to configure dictionary. Apologies guys, I just go on autopilot sometimes. Then what we need to do is add a reference contribution attribute. Okay, so we can see the attributes here, but if we scroll down, there is a related list where we've got the different attributes and their value. So we need to add a reference contribution, and it needs to be the name of the macro we've just created. So in the value, we're going to double click. I'm going to put a semicolon, I think that is. And we're going to click save. Okay, I'm just going to save that as well, and that should appear in the top. Here we go. Okay, so we've now got this reference contribution, user, show incidents, and team chat. Okay, so then what we do is we head back into the incidents. And with any luck, here we go. We now get our icon next to the caller. Teams chat there. If I hover over, that was the title that I showed you. We could call that whatever we like. So that's it, pretty much done, right? So we've uploaded an image, we've created our UI macro, and we've changed or added to the reference contribution attribute on the caller. So now when we click this, we then get Teams loading and it launches a chat window. Now, in this particular example, I'm using a free version of Microsoft Teams. And I know this guy here that we're trying to chat to is on a different domain. and their company does not allow cross-domain policies. So in this case, we're not going to see the full chat window. But I wanted to show you, and it's difficult for me to do without picking real life examples, but I wanted to show you this does launch the application and had this person's domain had access across domain policy, we could have seen that chat window open, and it would have had the short description underneath there. Okay, so let's just go back. There are a couple of things that I want to point out. So we go back to the UI macro, and those of you who have watched previous videos of mine may have spotted this and can probably put some comments in to tell me what's not necessarily wrong, but what's bad practice, as I would call it. And they would be line 15 and 16. So what we're doing here is we've got the caller, but we need to find out what their name is and their email. So what we're doing here is we're doing two server-side calls. Okay, how could we improve that? Well, there's one way we could improve it. We could just do I'll use a G_form get reference. In fact, actually, why am I doing that? Let's just do that. We could quickly improve it by doing this. Okay, so that's quickly improved it. So that means we're only doing one server-side call to bring back the information that we need. However, again, if you watch my videos before, I created on this instance actually a UI script which is for obtaining user information. So why not use that? I've already done it. I just need to plug it in and make sure it works. Okay, so that's where I am now going to copy across my other function here. We'll just add these back in and we'll talk through it. Okay, again, I'm not going to go into the depths of the UI script, but I am going to show you this. So we've still got our prefix. Let's ignore that. We've talked about that. We can get rid of these two. So what this is doing is this is launching our UI script here. It's passing it the fields that we want to get, which is the first name and email, what table we want to get them from, and then when and if we get a response back, we're then using the first name and email, and we're putting that into our subject line. Okay, so what that does is that uses our UI script that we've created on a previous video. It'll only make one call in a callback, and this is kind of within that UI script you've got a glide Ajax, so it is using ServiceNow best practice. So that's one thing we could do to make this better. We could also, if we wanted to, again I'm just giving you some ideas, we could only display the icon. We could only display the icon when they've got a valid email address, for example. So we could hide it unless they've got a valid email address. Or we could alternatively display it always, and then if an email address is not found, then return an error at the top of the screen. There's lots of things that we could do, or a few things that we could do to make this a little bit better and better user experience. Okay, and that brings us to the end of the tutorial. So if there's anything you want me to expand on, or different topics that you want me to cover on future videos, just drop something in the comments below and I'll pick those up. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do, and don't forget to keep an eye out for the next videos where we'll be doing some more in-depth Microsoft Teams integrations. Okay, thank you all for watching. See you soon.